Hey there, Pisces. My name is Isaac. Welcome to my channel. We're going to get into your tarot card reading for the month of September of 2024. I'm going to shuffle up these cards and we will get into it. These readings tend to focus more on the sort of spiritual development, evolution sort of side of things rather than twin flame, soulmate kind of stuff. So if you're interested in those things, maybe this isn't the channel for you. But if you are interested in something a little deeper, you might just enjoy what I have to offer here. So let's go ahead and see what we got for you. Also, before I forget to mention it, I did already record a series of astrological readings. So if you enjoyed this reading, go check out your other video, the astrology video for this month as well. So we have the Four of Cups starting out. Three of Cups attached to it. So at the core of the situation, we have the Three of Pentacles, Princess of Wands, or Page of Wands, kind of same thing. We have Death in the future, along with the Six of Wands. We have the King of Swords and the Seven of Cups. Okay, so this is the eighth reading I've done today, so I'm going to pause the video and look at these cards for a second because my brain isn't just a little mushy. Okay, so you guys are going through sort of an emotional breakthrough right now. So maybe in the recent past, you've been stuck in a situation that's been keeping you feeling kind of down, kind of just seeing things in a kind of negative and pessimistic light. But you're having a breakthrough here. You know, it's Three of Cups here. So this emotion you're having, this sort of emotional blockage is being cleared away, and I think it may have something to do with work, or not necessarily work. You know, the Three of Pentacles. It's not just jobs and work. It's kind of the entire concept of like control, manipulating material objects in order to get material gains from it, and feeling like maybe there's a certain insecurity from that or around that of like, you know, one of the things that's come up in a lot of Pisces readings and with Pisces people I've met is they feel a little bit uncertain of what their thing is. You know, what is your passion? What is the thing that you love to do? Maybe you've tried lots of things, and maybe there's been an unconscious sense of like seeking a sense of identity through what you do for work, and then feeling like because you don't know what you want to do for work, it makes you feel like you don't really know who you are. And then when you feel like you don't know who you are, you don't know how to express yourself around people, and then you feel shy and reserved, and you don't want to talk, and then you kind of miss out on opportunities and friendships and enjoyable situations because there's this sort of need. It's like this is an unconscious need. I think it's not really something you probably think about directly too much, but I think it is something like, you know, with this, the Death card and the Six of Wands, I think it has to do with letting go of the need to be to be looked up to be special, to be a somebody. Maybe you're learning to be okay with being just what you are and not needing to have some kind of prepackaged, clear identity that makes it easier for people to feel like they can put you in a box and know who you are. Because like I said, this comes up with Pisces a lot, where, you know, so the symbol of Pisces really represents the best way I can describe the energy of Pisces is being floating in an ocean with no matter in all directions around you, there's just nothing but water. There's no land, there's no shore, there's no trees, there's no boats, there's no people. It's just water. Just a boundless ocean that you're floating in. And that's kind of the natural energy of Pisces. But when you're born as a Pisces, this can be a little bit disconcerting because other people don't seem to have that sort of floaty, kind of boundless sort of sense of self. And so there's this desire to kind of try to find your identity, become a somebody, become someone identifiable, easily identifiable. And that's where all this, like, I think trying to find like your craft or like your passion or the reason you maybe have been struggling to find what that is, and maybe you've tried a lot of different things and nothing really sticks, nothing really resonates. It's because underneath the surface, it's been driven by a desire to be seen a certain way. So it's not really your passion, it's a means to an end. It's a means to being a somebody that people look up to and can appreciate and want to be around. But it's kind of like a self-sabotaging process because you by trying to approach it from that angle of like, this is a means to an end, this is, I want to be somebody for the sake of how I'm perceived by other people, then you're not actually doing your passion. Maybe the thing that you are most passionate about, you really enjoy spending most time on, that you like doing, is something that maybe you think people aren't going to appreciate as much. Or maybe you just don't really actually, maybe you just really want to just chill and you just want to be and exist. And that's okay. But our society kind of teaches us that value tends to come from other people's perceptions of us. Our career, especially if you're a man, is really about the career, and if you're a woman, society tends to focus on relationships and appearances. But it kind of goes both ways for both genders, anyways. But um, because there's this societal pressure, people around you kind of see things in that way, and maybe you have friends and you know people who feel pretty confident in what their direction is and what they want to do, what their craft is in life, or what their talent or skill, passion is. And then you see that, and they start to get a lot of appreciation for it. People, they get like a social media following, and they make lots of friends, and they have like a community that they're part of. And you look at that, and you're like, well, I want that too, but I don't know. But like, why are they so certain? Why are they so confident in doing that thing? Why don't I feel that way? Um, so it could be a couple of things. Like I said before, it could be that you don't actually have to do that. Maybe it's okay to just be in that boundless, floaty sense, because ultimately that's kind of what enlightenment is. It's being present, just floating in the present moment. You don't have to think, you don't have to control, you don't have to be anyone other than you are. And by embodying that willingly, instead of trying to escape that feeling and embodying it, you start to realize that that starts to manifest things that start coming to you. You don't have to go seek them out. You don't have to go find it. You just happen to stumble across things as if the universe just drops it in your lap. And maybe if you were to do that, the universe would come and drop your thing in your lap. And you finally figure out, like, oh, this is what I like doing. But I couldn't find it because I was too busy trying to be somebody else. I was too busy trying to be a someone instead of just embracing this boundless sense of self that I have, instead of being no one. Actually, being no one is much better than being someone, because being no one, and in that sense of like you don't have an identity in that way, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's kind of what the whole spiritual journey is about. It's like you kind of were started out in that state of being that all of the spiritual seekers are after. But because it's so natural to you, and because we're always taught to not value our natural selves, because again, society is just like it's kind of predicated on making you doubt your self worth so that you buy things and spend money and participate in society, even if you don't actually want to. Um, Shoot, I just totally lost what I was saying. I'm sorry. I've done so many readings today. I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. Um, so instead of seeing that sort of sense of like, I don't know who I am as a bad thing, it's actually, you can actually turn that around and just embrace it. This, which is actually, I just noticed the advice for this. I didn't even look at this. The advice for this reading is to be okay with this sort of with not knowing, this sense of I don't know. And the only thing that makes that into a problem is that you tell yourself that it's a problem. But the more you become confident in that like, oh, that's kind of, I don't know who I am because I am, shoot, how do I even put this? It's kind of hard to put into words. So I think what I'm trying to say is that when you don't have a strong sense of identity, you can have a strong sense of being, but you get scared of that because basically you're taught that that's not good enough. It's not good enough to just be what you are. So you start this whole journey of trying to find out who you are and trying to find what is my thing, what can I identify with out in the material world so that I can interact with everybody else and be part of society and kind of have friends and be part and not kind of feel like I'm just kind of like watching and start participating. Um, but as soon as you stop seeing that as a bad thing and just embrace that maybe who you really are is just a being. It's not an identity, not a self, not a person. You are a being of consciousness. And the more you can learn to just embrace that sort of boundless, floaty, sort of just be here now sort of mentality and not see it as a problem, but embrace that as a strength, all of a sudden you will start manifesting things that are meant for you. But the more you chase after those things, they're always going to evade you, because the more you chase after them, the more you're affirming that who you actually are is not good enough. So to kind of maybe just a quick thing, a quick little exercise to sort of illustrate what I mean. So if you just kind of sit in wherever you are right now, just kind of take a look around the room, look around at your surroundings, and just notice your environment. Just pay attention to it. You don't have to say anything about it or label anything. Just notice your environment. Already you've taken a step into the present moment, and you've eliminated a lot of mental activity that's kind of causing this sort of seeking that's not really getting you anywhere, spinning out your wheels and making you go in circles. The next step, after you've kind of just noticed the environment, now start to pay attention to your senses. Hearing. Instead of paying attention to what you're hearing, pay attention to the act of hearing itself. You know, or looking. Instead of paying attention to what you're looking at, look at the looking itself, if that makes sense. The phenomenon of looking, of sight. Just look at that. Pay attention to feeling. Instead of I feel this particular thing, just pay attention to the phenomenon of feeling itself. Paying attention to the senses. That brings you much, much deeper into the present moment. And just in that, there can be a great deal of peace and joy that can be found in just sitting quietly and just noticing the sounds in the room. And not labeling the sounds or trying to identify them, just hearing. Pay attention to the phenomenon of hearing itself. And you might start to notice pretty quickly that a lot of mental activity drop, a lot of suffering, a lot of anxiety starts to fade away, and you kind of start to get that floaty feeling I was talking about, that bound, the sort of just kind of being in the present moment. And then you can take it an even step further and try to kind of really silence your mind and pay attention to the energy inside your body, the alive essence that's moving through you. It's kind of like a very subtle, it's not a tingling, but it's almost like approaching tingling. It's a very subtle kind of movement inside your body. And that is your being, as you're being present. So if you can start making that sort of mentality, that sort of presence, that sense of being, be your primary, like recognize that that's who you actually are. It's not anything else. It's not, you don't have to go play all these ego games that everybody else seems to be so invested in. You're kind of born ahead of that. You know, the Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. And it kind of is, it's almost like being born enlightened, but then being told that that's not good enough and that's a bad thing. And then you start trying to figure out how to be someone else or something else, until eventually you give up on that and realize, oh, this was actually who I was all along. This is actually a good thing. And I was just taught that I'm not supposed to be this way. And I've been creating all these problems and stress and suffering for no reason other than I was taught to do so. So anyways, I think I'm going to end this one here. Check out my other videos. I did a series of astrological videos for this month as well. They're already on my channel. Hit me up for a private reading if you want a natal chart or tarot reading. All my information is down in the description below. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Hit the notifications, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.